Ladies and gents, welcome back. A week off. We had a week off. It is Memorial Day, but we are still here on this lovely holiday. And man, much needed week off. I will say I really wanted to put out content. And then as we're kind of going through the week, I'm like, man, like it's kind of nice. A nice little off week prior to this week. So it was a much needed week off as an MMA fan. I feel like I talked about this many times. Like I love having cards every week. But there are weeks where it's like, man, this is kind of nice not having it. Perfect week off, Memorial Day weekend. And yeah, but it's great to be back. And Steve, great to have you back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I know we're on a bit of a break here. It always feels a little bit too long sometimes. It is nice to have it. But then when you kind of get back into it, you're like, all right, I'm super excited. This card we're going into as like the first card back from the break, you know, like Rozenstruik Sakai. Am I super excited about that? Not so much. I do think there's a lot throughout the prelims that are going to be exciting, but as a main event to come back to that after the big Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt fight, this is slightly disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. It's not great. I mean, the thing is though, this card, so there's a lot of fights on the cards, 14 fight card, and it's not, there's a lot of really good fights on it. So, I mean, I think that, obviously the main event, it's like you go from Font, Garbrandt to this. It's like, like I like Rozenstruik. I don't like Augusto Sakai at all. So for me, I think it's kind of like a buzzkill seeing him on the card. I like Rozenstruik. But overall, though, from beginning to end, it is a very good card. So I can't hate it too much. And it's a precursor to next week. So, next week is going to be a banger. So.
Yeah, that is the good news. The pay-per-view is right around the corner. We have this. It is pretty stacked. Like the main card is pretty awesome. Miguel Baeza is back. I love watching him fight. You have the Walt Harris, Marcin Tybura. That one's okay. The prelims are pretty stacked, though. I really like the prelims, honestly.
Yeah, no, yeah. The prelims are really good. I did have this. I had a question, and I don't know if you know anything about this story here. Who is this kid? This 18-year-old. So this child here. Have you seen this?
I've not seen this.
This has been blowing up all over Twitter, all over everywhere. And so this kid here, Hasbullah, is. I don't think it's a kid. It's not. He's 18.
Wait, what?
And so apparently there's a fight happening, and I was really hoping Kieran was here today because I really want to know what this is all about because he would know. And I'm so confused as to what is currently happening. But he is 18 years old, which, obviously he looks probably like what? He's 4. So obviously he has some sort of disability there. But he's fighting someone else. And there's like all these videos on the internet, and I didn't know if you knew anything about this. So I wanted to bring it up before we got started into our show.
Wow. No, I've been like MIA on all of like Instagram, social media. I've not seen this picture yet. I don't know who that is. How could he be fighting? Like, what is the promotion? Like, who's fighting, like, sanctioning this?
He's fighting another person that has the same
that's
disability.
Kind of fucked up, don't you think?
I agree.
Like, I think we all agree that's 100% fucked up.
Yes, I agree. But this kid goes hard. Like, he's all in on this. And those of you that are listening to this right now, you probably, if you are on MMA Twitter, you know basically what I'm talking about. And I have no idea who he is, though. And I'm so confused.
Well, if he actually trains and he actually loves fighting, I mean, that's great that he has an opportunity to fight, right? I think that's pretty cool. But there's something weird about that. I don't know.
Carrie, you got more information?
Okay, it says recently Hasbullah Magomedov has been grabbing the headlines for his rumored...
Hasbullah Magomedov.
They call him the mini Khabib.
I know.
He's
And
from
actually,
Dagestan.
I saw a video of him like hitting a bag like this big with the elbows. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's so funny.
He's been in the headlines for his rumored fight against 17-year-old Tajikistani singer Abdu Razik, also known as the smallest singer in the world. Like Hasbullah, Abdu is also a teenager whose physical appearance resembles that of a child.
So this is like a Triller event. It sounds like. This is basically like a Triller event, like a Jake Paul gimmick fight.
Yes.
A singer.
I'm going mini Khabib in that one. If we're making picks, I'm going to go mini Khabib.
Let's make official picks on that.
By decision, I think he has Khabib in his corner, and Khabib has not lost yet in in coaching or in fighting. So, Khabib in your corner. I hope Khabib goes in his corner. That would be hysterical. Like that would sell tickets. But no, yeah, I had to bring this up because I saw this and I'm just like, oh my goodness, this cannot be real. And I didn't understand. Like, it's been going on for a week now, and I was on Twitter and I'm like, what is happening? Like, I see this kid every time I scroll through, it's like every 3 or 4 things that I scroll through, he's the next slide. I'm like, what is this? Like, what is going on? I didn't get it until just now, until Carrie gave us that information. So Carrie was laughing because I'm over here searching Hasbullah kid.
I'm just thinking, like, it's gonna come up on my computer.
Yeah, but no, nothing bad. So, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, we kind of went off the rails there. I had to bring it up because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll take mini Khabib by submission, round 2.
All right, Carrie, you want to make a pick?
I don't know.
Nothing to say.
Yeah.
This is going off the rails. It's a weird show first back, but I'm sorry. It was too funny. All right, Steve, get us into the news and the matchups.
Yeah, well, the matchups, yeah, so that's a good thing. With the break we had, there was a lot of time for new matchups to be announced. So let's go with that first. We'll rate that matchup. First one on here, I love this fighter, Michel Pereira. I mean, the guy's an absolute savage. You kind of know him as the guy who does like random backflips throughout his fights, but he actually is very talented. And when he puts it all together, he's very dangerous. He's taken on Niko Price, UFC 264 in July. That is just going to be an absolute war. For me, that's a 5. I know it's not like super top ranked guys, but those are 2 guys who are going to go to war. And I love both of those guys. So yeah, that's a 5 for me.
Yeah, I love that fight. I think it's a 5. It's going to be tough because Niko Price had a draw with Cowboy where he lost a point, and that's ultimately, I think, why he lost the fight. Right. But still, doesn't look great. I really like Niko Price a lot, and I don't like Michel Pereira that much. So I really kind of want Niko Price to put the works on him, but I don't know. Let's not. Pereira is not bad though. That's the thing. Like, he is good. Like, he's crazy, but he is good. So I think that fight has fireworks written all over it, and I think it will be a great fight. So I'll go a 5 as well. When is that?
Yeah.
Do you know when that was booked for?
Yeah, UFC 264, the Connor Dustin. That card is turning up to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, knock on wood, because I mean,
that's true.
With COVID though, like, everything's starting to die down. Like, these fights should stop getting canceled so easy.
Yeah, you would think by like I just said, the mask mandate in Massachusetts is lifted. More of the vaccines are being put out there. So hopefully the UFC is going to return to normal too. Or if they say they're going to fight, it's going to happen, because that's going to be a sick card. And they added another fight on that card. We'll do the same one. So Sean Brady taking on Kevin Lee and Kevin Lee's return. I feel like we are almost like an anti-Kevin Lee podcast, or is that just Kieran? Like, I'm a fan. Like, I like to watch Kevin Lee fight. I do think he's really talented. I don't know why he gets all the hate.
I don't think like we hate him. I just think with Kevin Lee,
Kieran hates him.
I just think he always he's just very roller coaster-ish. Like,
they pushed him really quick.
But this is not. He's moving up in weight. All right, and he's fighting
a killer,
Brady. He's fighting a Brady, and anyone that knows anything about Brady's, name an unsuccessful Brady.
I can't.
Exactly. You got Tom Brady, Wayne Brady, Sean Brady, the Brady bunch. Just And even first name Brady Aiken, professional baseball player.
Brady Quinn, though,
Brady,
stinker.
But great college player.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's
a tough fight. It is a bad fight to have you're moving up to that new weight class and you're going to take on a surging killer in Sean Brady, who's strong as hell and is a really difficult matchup.
That dude is thick for that weight class.
Big. And then this is like the battle of the tattoos too. You got that crazy back tat, and then Kevin Lee just got like that weird head tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Lee's is terrible. Kevin Lee is up there with worst tattoos in the UFC. So, Sean Brady definitely wins that. The thing is with Brady is he's a wrestler, and we saw like he is mauling. Like he's so strong that he will control the fight the whole time there, but he also can strike. He also hits hard as shit. So I don't like that fight for Kevin Lee at all. I don't dislike Kevin Lee. I just think it's, again, like I said, I feel like it's one of those fights or one of those guys where he's just very roller coaster-ish. It's hard to get behind Kevin Lee because you don't ever know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's why for me, like when we're talking about rating the matchup, I think it's really just like the curiosity that's drawing me into it. Like I have no idea how this is going to play out because Sean Brady, his biggest win right now is probably, he beat Court McGee and he beat Jake Matthews. Those are two.
Jake Matthews is tough, and
that's a good win.
Ragdolled Jake Matthews.
He did. But Kevin Lee, like that's a guy who was fighting for the belt not too long ago and has faced like the best of the best at one, at a lower weight class, but still.
That's my other thing is we haven't seen guys really move up in weight class and be successful. Like the weight difference is real. Like Kevin Lee, what do you think he walks around at? Like he's not like he's in good shape, but he's not like a guy. He's not massive.
Right.
Sean Brady cuts weight to get to 170 and then he's massive on fight day. So that's the moving down in weight makes so much more sense. Like we talked of last week, like Cody Garbrandt has a legit shot at 125 to be the best in that division, just based on he's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be faster. He's going to be stronger. But him at 135, like, let's be honest, Cody Garbrandt probably doesn't cut much weight to get to 135. Like, he's a smaller guy in that division. So, it's the same thing with a lot of these guys. Izzy, same way. Like, the moving up in weight doesn't always work. And so for Kevin Lee, I think 55 was a better option for him, but 55 is absolutely stacked. I mean, you had Felder out now, so I mean that adds another, spot, but that division is so good where 70, maybe he feels like, okay, if I can beat Brady, I obviously can go on a run here. But I think it's going to be tough, and I don't like that fight for Kevin Lee. I could easily see him losing and going right back down to 55.
Yeah, and because what do we talk about too when people move up a weight class? I think it was Grant Dawson who said it, but the weight matters only really in like grappling and wrestling. So I don't know. He's going to move up, but Sean Brady is a guy who can wrestle. He can take you down. He can submit you. I just think it's going to be trouble for Kevin Lee. But like I said, the curiosity is there. I really want to see how this plays out. So I would give it like a 4.
And with what Grant said, like it just matters in the wrestling. But what about when Max Holloway moved up and he landed a ton of volume on Poirier, but it didn't do anything. The punching power was not what it was at 55 as it is 45. So I think that it plays a factor in striking as well. Like a guy like Izzy, he's got power regardless, but Max doesn't typically put guys away at 45. How many people has Kevin, aside from Gillespie, how many people has he put away at 55? And then the Gillespie thing is, does that happen? Out of 10 times, how many more times does that happen? Like I don't like to discredit someone. I don't want to sit here and discredit Kevin Lee. Like, he set it up perfect, head kick landed. It's one of the best. That's why it's on our reel in the beginning. But like, it's when you land something like that, it's not luck. It's just it wouldn't happen again. You know what I mean? Same thing with the Joaquin Buckley knockout. Like that's not happening again. Like it's great that it happened. It was set up. But that's my thing with Kevin Lee is you run that back against Gillespie. I kind of am interested to see what would happen there.
Oh, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Honestly, if I'm Kevin Lee, that's not the fight you take. No, or if I'm his manager, I am advising strongly against Sean Brady as your first fight.
I agree. I don't like that. Sean Brady is, to me, severely underrated. I think he has not talked about it all. Like, I think if those betting lines are even close, you hammer Sean Brady because I think he's going to ragdoll. I don't know if he'll finish him. He could sink in a sub. I mean, he's just good everywhere. Like, I do think he's like one of my dark horses. Like, I think that if he has a really good 2021, I think at the end of this year, you and I are going to be saying that Sean Brady is going to be a potential title contender in 2022.
Yeah, and it starts with a massive name in Kevin Lee. Like, if you get that win and you add that to your resume, then your next fight, you're going to crack into the top 15. So it's a smart fight for Sean Brady, not so much for Kevin Lee.
I agree.
All right. Next one here, Max Holloway taking on Yair Rodrigues. So someone found Yair. Good job. I don't know where he was, but
he's not in Mexico anymore.
Yeah, he's not ducking anyone.
He's back in the testing pool, I guess.
He's back, and it's kind of weird. So he's not fighting Zabit, and Zabit was supposed to fight him, and now he might be retiring. He's dealing with some issues, so that's kind of weird. But honestly, dude, big shout out to Max Holloway, just killing out like the top 5 when he's obviously the next guy up to fight for the belt. To stay active against someone tough like Yair Rodrigues, just hats off to Max Holloway. The guy can beat anybody he wants to. This will be exciting because Yair is really athletic, throws a lot of weird strikes, head kicks, crazy things. He has that, up elbow knockout finish. So he can do a lot of things here. Obviously, you got to go with Max Holloway, but this is like a nice 4.5, maybe 5.
I say anytime Max Holloway fights for me, maybe other than when he fights Volkanovski, it's a 5. Max Holloway, one of the best to ever do it, in my opinion, especially at 45. And he's just, like, people throughout, when that fight starts approaching, people are going to be saying, Yair Rodrigues can do it. He can do, and yeah, anyone can do it. But people said the same thing about Calvin Kattar. People said the same thing about Brian Ortega. And Max Holloway shuts them all up. He's become one of the fighters that it seems like everyone on social media will doubt. Like, it's almost like Khabib, right? Like, Khabib was so dominant that everyone started to play into these stories where, okay, Justin Gaethje has the wrestling, and I was one of them. Justin Gaethje has the wrestling to beat, to withstand Khabib and then can knock him out. Like, I feel like Max Holloway is now starting to trend that way. Like, he's got 2 losses, one super controversial against Volkanovski, and other than that, he's done nothing but win and beat the absolute piss out of everyone he's fought. So I'm not a big fan of Yair Rodrigues at all. He's just very weird. Like, when he wins, he's so shitty on the mic, and the whole like disappearing from USADA garbage. Like, I'm not a big fan of Yair Rodrigues at all. I'll be surprised if he even makes it to fight day. I can easily see him pulling out of that fight. And next thing you know, we got Max fighting someone else in that division. But yeah, I mean, I think with the way that, Volkanovski and Ortega kind of ended up happening, Max just wants to get a fight. He wants to stay fresh. I think one of the things was he kind of had a layoff prior to fighting Volkanovski. I don't think that Max wants that. He's a guy that I feel like does better as he continues to fight. The more he stays active, the better he is. I think he had that layoff because he had the whole incident on ESPN where he was like stuttering and wasn't speaking correctly. And then he had to get all these like CTE type and concussion tests done. But I love Max Holloway, one of my favorite fighters. Probably now that Felder retired, he's probably going to enter my, and Cowboys going. So he's probably going to, honestly, he might be my number one, like the one dude I get super hyped for when he fights. So I hope he goes in, he beats the piss out of Yair Rodrigues, and he gets the winner of Volk and Ortega.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of another point too, but that is going to happen, the Volkanovski Ortega fight, that's probably going to happen later on in like the fall because we have the Ultimate Fighter coming up and all that. They haven't set a date on it. So that's going to kind of push things off. So if Max, goes in there, wins this fight in July, and then they could be looking at like an early 2022 fight for the belt. So yeah, I think it's like a nice stay active one more time in 2021 and then kind of see what happens with the Volkanovski Ortega fight.
Yeah, I agree. And Max, dude's a warrior. He'll fight anyone. He don't care.
Dude, I do not see Yair Rodrigues winning this. I don't know what he brings to the table that Max hasn't already seen. Yeah, he's a flashy fighter, but Max is just going to probably steamroll right through him. Let's be honest.
And Kattar probably hits
way harder.
He's one of the harder hitters in that division, and Max just ate anything that was thrown at him. He wasn't even wobbled in that fight at all. So I think the more he gets hit, the better he gets. So yeah, I don't see anything. I mean, it's Yair. Like, he is flashy, he can do things, but odds are it's not going to work in his favor.
No, God bless you if you're fighting Max Holloway after that last performance. But yeah, that's going to take place July 17th. That's a headliner, not a pay-per-view. Then I got two other quick ones here. So Uriah Hall taking on Sean Strickland, UFC 265 in August. A striker's delight here. You know, you got two guys who can go in there and just trade for days. Both got a pretty decent chin, I'd say, and they can return with some big power. So I'm excited about this one. I'd probably give it like a 3.5, 4, because I think someone's probably going to go out. I think it's going to be a good fight, an absolute war. Both these guys love to just exchange.
So I don't know, man.
You're not sold on Uriah Hall. I know that. I know, because he is hesitant at times, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with Uriah Hall is listen, the power is there. Like, he's got the power. It's the dude was losing around to Anderson Silva, who listen, Anderson Silva is one of the GOATs, but like not at that point in his career.
I honestly think he did that on purpose. I think they dragged that fight out on purpose.
Listen, I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah. I mean, Sean Strickland's fun though.
I like Strickland too. Yeah. I think that it's a horrible matchup for Uriah Hall. I honestly, in my opinion, I think Sean Strickland will just throw volume. He doesn't get tired at all. Volume, and eventually, and Uriah Hall has been chinny before too. So
yeah,
I like Strickland. But this fight, compared to all the other ones we've talked about so far, it doesn't even compare. And we've given those 4s and 5s, so I can't go past a 3 on this one. And it's just I've always wanted to like Uriah Hall. Like, I've always wanted him to take that next step. And all right, I don't dislike Uriah Hall. I always wanted him to take that next step, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. And he just never did. Like, he never reached that potential. Like, we saw the knockout that he had on Tough, and like he was like labeled this next Anderson Silva, and like, I mean, granted, I think that stuff's overblown. Like, I don't think you can really say this is the next. But if he was even ballpark to Anderson Silva, we're all having a different conversation now. He's not even ballpark. He's a good fighter. He's not anything special. And I can easily see Sean Strickland, who is just a dog. Like, Sean Strickland, he just wants to fight. He doesn't care who it is. He's like one of those guys who will fight anyone, anytime. And, you know, I wasn't a big fan of Strickland at first. He seemed like really douchey. But then, like, his last fight, he put on a great performance, was really great on the mic. And, you know, he's a guy that I think I could get behind and kind of start rooting for. And like I said, I like Uriah Hall, but for me, I think it's a tough matchup for him. I think that there's going to be too much volume. Strickland has a really good chin. I don't think it matches up well for Uriah Hall. And if he loses this one, his seat is starting to get hot. It's starting to get spicy.
Yeah, it is. It's weird with Uriah Hall because he's technically on a pretty decent win streak, but the Chris Weidman thing, you toss that out the window.
Yeah. And you can look at each win and say like, all right, the Chris Weidman win, obviously, like nothing he didn't even throw a strike in that fight. Then the win over Anderson Silva, like, he looked shitty up until like the second round where he just figured it out. Like, I don't know. And he had such a crazy edge in that fight. Like, Anderson Silva's been knocked out lately. His chin is not there. Uriah Hall has all this power. He's much faster, much stronger. And he just didn't do anything. Like, you can just look at his wins and just be like, okay, well, yeah, he won this fight, and there's always a but with it. Like, it's never like decisive. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. That's the issue with Uriah Hall, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. And honestly, again, like on the reverse here, like Sean Strickland this is now like a big test for him. Like, if you beat Uriah Hall, a ranked opponent, now that's like your big move up. So it's a really big opportunity for him because he's really just he has like an insane record. I got to check it out real quick, but he's like 22 and like 2 or something. Like, the dude has just kept winning.
And he's not old either. He just fights a lot.
Yeah, he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4 fight win streak. He
3 of them in the UFC, right? 3 or 4 of them in the UFC.
Oh, yeah. 23-3 right now. Like, the guy is just beating everyone, and now Uriah Hall is just like that step up for him, and it's a winnable fight.
I don't know if he'll knock out Uriah Hall. I kind of see it. So he doesn't have any knockouts yet, does he? Strickland, or does he have one?
He knocked out Brendan Allen, but he does go to decision.
Yeah. He kind of reminds me of a bigger Max in a way. Like, he just throws lots of volume. PayPal my money. DFS asks how long before the UFC 28 preview. We're almost actually getting there, bud. We always talk about recent news in the beginning, and then we'll talk about the card. But we are going to be doing that here very soon.
All right, last one, and this one is a much bigger fight here. So Jose Aldo taking on Pedro Munhoz, UFC 265 in August as well. Just kind of a couple of veterans who've been around the block, still winning though, still two relevant guys in the division. Neither of them have looked poor in their most recent performances. So I expect this to be fireworks. I really like this one. I'd say this is actually probably a 5. I think this is going to be an awesome fight.
Yeah, I love this fight. I'm all in on Aldo. I still like Aldo. I think I don't know if he'll ever be back at the belt, but like, he's always going to be a guy that can hang. He has another like 2 years, 3 years of him really being able to hang around. And so I don't know. I like Aldo. Like, he could go on a run at any moment and really shock people. I think he's never looked the same after the Conor fight. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah. But he seems like he's kind of starting to figure it out a little bit. Like, he seems like he's kind of getting to the point now where he is past it and doing a little bit better. Where Munhoz though is a savage. And
dude, he looks good recently. Looks real good.
I mean, he's got some huge wins, like the Rivera win. He lost to Frank Yeager, but controversial. Lost to Sterling, but he also knocked out Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
Brett Johns. He beat Rob Font. So I mean, Pedro Munhoz is a savage, dude. So I think it's a tough fight, but I just think Aldo is better all around than Munhoz. Munhoz, I think, will have the striking advantage, but I think Aldo better all around fighter. But that's a 5 easily. Munhoz has been super exciting. He had a couple tough losses, but again, the split decision against Edgar was like iffy. It was just, all his fights are fireworks, all of them. Pedro Munhoz, every single fight he has is fireworks. Decision, knockouts, whatever it is that he does, it's a great fight every single time, and that could end up giving Aldo fits. Aldo, we see under pressure sometimes, kind of gets a little chinny, but I just think he's looked much smarter lately, and I think that he's, and this is a great fight for him too, because I think if he wins, it keeps him, really inserted in the body of that division. I think for both guys, either one that wins is really, that's kind of like a big win to keep them relevant in that fight. You didn't think Bruce Bobtrotter didn't think it was fireworks? I thought that fight was great. I
thought that was a good back and forth for sure.
Yeah, maybe not fireworks. I mean, I guess everyone's definition of fireworks is different. I thought that fight was awesome. I loved it. There aren't many fights that I remember where I was at when they were happening, and I remember where that fight was happening, so it had to be pretty good.
I mean, 166 strikes landed for Pedro Munhoz and 135 landed for Edgar. I mean, that's all 5 rounds. I mean, that was a good fight. That was a good back and forth fight.
I guess I love Frankie Edgar, but I do think that Munhoz was robbed in that fight. I thought he won it.
But also Frankie in his debut at that weight looked really good.
Yeah, he did. So I mean, I love that fight. So maybe my definition of fireworks is too
right.
It's not, maybe my expectations are lower, I guess, but I thought that fight was great.
Okay, so that's right, that matchup. That's some awesome fights we have coming up. The summer is getting booked out, but a couple headlines here. So I'm sure this will probably be a topic for a while, but The Ultimate Fighter Tough returns tomorrow, and it's going to be on every Tuesday, 9 p.m. I'm excited for it. I know I watched did you watch the they did like a pre-show? It was like last week, and it was like getting you hyped up for it. I'm not very hyped up for it. It's hard to. Those guys are just not great.
It's just something to watch, honestly.
I just want to see more fights.
I'll be honest. I wish they would have just done Contender Series more. I'll watch it because it'll be a talking point, something to talk about. But maybe we can do like a 5-minute tough, episode recap or something like that. But for me personally, as a fight fan, I just want to see fights. I don't care about the drama. Like, it's basically real world meets UFC, and that drives me crazy a little bit. So I'm not that excited about it. It's weird that they brought it back, but I'm excited that Brian Battle's on there, and whatever. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
At least we can root for him the entire way through. And yeah, like you said, I get why they brought it back. I don't get why they chose these two guys. That was kind of the biggest takeaway, I think, for a lot of people, was like, really? Like, you had at the 170 weight class, they had so many different people they could have done between Colby, Masvidal, all those guys, Nate Diaz, throw him in there. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. Also, Vince Murdoch was on there, who I really liked when he was on the Contender Series too. So I'm excited to see those two guys. Other than that, I don't even know anyone else that's on there. So
I don't either.
I don't know how many Contender Series cast-offs are on there or not.
Yeah. Well, so that brings us to our next point too. Dana White Contender Series Season 5 starts August 31st, but they're doing more of like a international theme to it.
That's so not far away.
Yeah, it is. Well, you're going to get the Ultimate Fighter, then you're going to get Dana White Contender Series.
I see. I'm kind of pissed because last year it was like a couple weeks off, then the Contender Series was back. Then it was a couple weeks off. Like, you know what I mean? There wasn't this long layoff now. Now we're on like a whole 8 months, 6 months, it feels like, since
a while.
That sucks. I see. For me, Contender Series, I'm not gonna say it should be like an every week all year thing, but like, I love it. I don't know. I really enjoy it a lot.
I like the idea.
Some good fighters out of it.
Yeah, dude, there has, like, that's the thing though with the other show, The Ultimate Fighter. Like, you have a ton of champs who have come out of that. Dana White Contender Series, we haven't seen a champ yet, right? We don't think. Yeah, Alex Perez. Yeah. I mean, he got his shot, but I don't think there's been like many top 5 guys that have come out of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But a lot of them are still young. Like, a lot of these guys are younger.
Right.
I mean, I think honestly, we've probably seen more flops from Contender Series than we have great fighters. There's been a lot of flops, but I still love it. I think that ultimately, like, it's a good way. Like Jeff Molina. All right, we just talked to Jeff Molina, right? Like, we would have never interviewed Jeff Molina had I not seen him on the Contender Series and saw like this guy's fight style and everything is exciting. Like, he'd be a great guy to try to talk to and talk MMA. Like, it's just a great way for these guys to build their names, where the Ultimate Fighter, like, I guess people are going to like them throughout their time on the show, but if you get cut week 1 or you get cut, like, I remember guys, obviously, like Vince Murdoch, I remember him being on the Contender Series. Like, I remember that, where the Ultimate Fighter, like, half of these people I'm not going to know once they're off the show.
Yeah, that is kind of like a good point. It's like, if you're on the Ultimate Fighter, you have a long time to really like build your name, build your brand. You can still get a contract out of it even if you don't win it. And then with the Contender Series, it's just that one night, that one moment. Granted, you can sometimes get like a second chance with it, but it's really like just a do or die moment, which is cool. Yeah. It's like sudden death. Yeah,
and the embeddeds on it are pretty good for Contender Series. So
yep. I had a few other things here, nothing crazy. Did you see Khabib was offered to fight Mayweather for $100 million? Declined it.
Yeah.
Casual. Yeah. He said, his quote, "No, I'm retired. I told my mother I'm retired. I'm going to keep my word to my mother. If my mother told me to fight again, maybe I will. But right now, she told me not to fight."
Listen, Khabib, I love you, dude, but what the frick are you doing? $100 million? Are you kidding me? I'd say, Mom, I love you, but I got to do this.
Here's $50 million. I'll be right back.
Yeah, like, come on, dude. I know. Listen, I know money apparently isn't everything, but $100 million is a lot of damn money. Like, let me go get my money. And that's probably just the contract. What if, like, that can't include pay-per-view, but, like, what is that? Like, he's probably making more money than that.
That's that Conor money. Yeah, it's insane. Who has more integrity than Khabib? Like, nobody.
Seriously.
This dude is so, like, rigid, and like, if it's, there's no, $100 million. Like, how much more could it go before he would say yes?
And this is probably why Americans get shit on all the time.
Absolutely.
Because we're over here criticizing Khabib for turning down, $100 million. But Jesus, good Lord, if Floyd Mayweather offered me $100 million right now to fight him, I'm saying yes. And I don't know anything about fighting. I'm saying yes. I'll take the punches. I'll do whatever it takes. Just as long as that check clears and I got 100, I'm all in. Like, you can punch me as many times as you want. I don't care. I'll throw a couple as best I can, and I'll do my best Ben Askren, job. But how do you say no to 100 mil? Like, if it was 5 mil, 10 mil, okay, like that's still a ton of money. But like Khabib was making 5 mil a fight already in the UFC. 100 million? No way. That's crazy to me.
That it could be fake. It could be fake because that is an insane thing to put out there and be like, he really said no. That's ridiculous. But apparently he also was offered the GSP fight at 165 pounds, no title. But it's just, he's not fighting. He's not fighting unless his mom one day wakes up and is like, you know what? I want you to fight.
Unless she trains him and corners him.
That'd be nuts.
PayPal says that 100 million was probably facetious after he rejected reasonable offers. Maybe. Or they were just like, dude, 100 million. What do you think? Nope. Yeah. Integrity. Hats off to Khabib, man.
I know. He's a better man than I.
People are going to be calling Khabib out for, I say this all the time, for like the next 10 years.
Yeah. He's like 31, 32, isn't he?
Yeah. Like, we're going to, like, there's some kid that's probably like 18 years old right now that's going to be champ when he's 28, and he's going to call Khabib out.
Yeah,
think about that.
Maybe one day he will. He'll come back.
Crazy.
40 years old, he'll come back.
That'd be yeah. I think Khabib will come back at least once. I don't know when. Too. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. Like, he will come back at least one time.
Well, hey, in that quote, if my mother told me to fight again, maybe I will. Like, that's a chance. There is
if that is my kid, I am telling him, boy, get your ass in that cage, get that money, and then you can retire.
Get out. Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, yeah. All right. Last one here. Kevin Holland training with DC. Severely needs the wrestling work. He is officially partnered up with DC. He's fighting at AKA. I love it. I love that move. Kevin Holland, obviously the glaring weakness was wrestling. We saw it in his last 2 fights. And I respect that, because we were very critical on him, just saying he didn't give a shit. He didn't care. He didn't do anything to stop the takedowns. Didn't really make an effort there. So the fact that he's making the effort now, trying to work on that glaring weakness, I think it's great. I really hope Kevin Holland becomes more well-rounded, because if he can work on his wrestling, the striking is phenomenal. So he would be very dangerous. And who better to be with DC? I know Khabib's over there, so he'll be getting some help.
Yeah, listen, I think we can all agree Kevin Holland has star potential, right? He's basically already a star.
He is.
Like, people love him. He has a pretty good fan base already, because when we shit talk Kevin Holland, people didn't like it. But he needed work. His stand-up is good. Like, he has great stand-up. He's very good. He's very crafty. It was the wrestling that was so bad. He had no answer for any takedowns whatsoever. And so he is now working with the best wrestlers in DC and Khabib. And that's, to me, that spoke a lot, because I didn't want to dislike Kevin Holland. It was the Aurora that he set off that was kind of like him not giving a shit. I don't think he did. It's kind of like me, I laugh when I'm doing things wrong and I get yelled at for it. I laugh, because that's my way of dealing with things. For him, it was kind of like his attitude was, okay, I'm just going to pretend like I don't give a shit, but he's really embarrassed. He obviously cared. He took that next step. He went over to AKA, and he is, I think, I don't do I think that Kevin Holland comes out and wrestles like Khabib his next fight? No. Do I think that the nice thing with Kevin Holland is he's never going to shy away from what he does. All right. This whole move is just to stuff the takedowns. You're not going to start seeing Kevin Holland come out and wrestle for 15 minutes. All right. But as long as he can stuff a takedown, then the wrestlers have no shot against him. Then he is a serious weapon, because his striking is so good. He's got power. He's crafty. He's got great cardio. He's got everything. He's got the star. I'm not going to even say potential. It's already there. The star factor. It's just that last piece of the puzzle that he needs to figure out. And he's finally doing it. And it's kind of, hats off to him because a lot of fighters aren't doing it. Mike Perry has had endless opportunities to go train with Darren Till and hasn't done it. And we all say Mike Perry has great tools. We saw him out wrestle Mickey Gall, who's a wrestler. We've seen him knock guys out. He's another guy that only has a couple pieces of the puzzle left to really make him a great fighter, minus the fact that he's a head case. But, hats off to Kevin Holland for making this move and admiring the fact, okay, I have a weakness. I'm going to go address it. And now, he might be an underdog next time he fights a wrestler. I'm more inclined to put money on him knowing that he's been training wrestling rather than staying at the gym he was at and saying, I don't give a shit. So I'm all in on Kevin Holland. I'm back on the Kevin Holland train. We were all off of the Kevin Holland train. I'm back on the Kevin Holland train.
Yeah, and not for nothing too, like his shtick was he was the short notice guy. He fought in 2020 like what, 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And then he starts taking
schlubs. And we all said that. Once he started fighting the good guys, he wasn't Jacare Souza, he's not what he was.
He knocked out Joaquin Buckley.
So did DiChirico.
Yeah.
it's
not like the best resume, but it's good. But it's also like now, like he made a name for himself. That's great. You don't need to be the short notice hero every time because that's when you're losing your fights. Like now that you've put your name out there, we know you have all the skills, most of the skills. Just start planning a little bit better, work on your wrestling, plan on a fight, get a whole camp in. Don't take these crazy short notice fights against the freaking killers in Vittori and Brunson. Those were 2 freaking hard fights for him to take. So I just want to see him take it a little more serious. It looks like he's doing that. So I am not fully on the train yet, but I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'm back on the train, and whenever you want back on, hop on before all the tickets are gone, all the seats are taken. That's all I gotta say.
All right, we'll see. We'll see who he takes on next. We'll see. It takes time to work on that part of your game.
We'll also see what division, because that's also play a big factor into it as well.
Yeah, hopefully 170. We'll see. He'd be a problem at 170 if he fixes the wrestling. He would be 100%. A contender real soon.
I agree. Are you ready to break down UFC Vegas 28 Rozenstruik Sakai?
Let's do it. I'm in.
PayPal my money, DFS. This is for you. We are moving in to talking about UFC Vegas 28, the card, the preview card. I actually can throw this up here on the screen for us as well, so we can all kind of see. So this card, obviously, it feels like a buzzkill with the main event prior because of we had the Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt fight, but so many people on this fight I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm so excited to watch Jordan Leavitt
opening the card,
coming off of one of the craziest slam knockouts ever over Matt Wyman, where he actually just did an interview and was talking about how that's messed him up a little bit, how he got a lot of crap for it, which Jordan Leavitt looks like if I was talking to Jordan Leavitt on the street, I'm not thinking this man could knock out anyone. Like seems like the nicest guy in the entire world. And then he just has one of the most violent knockouts ever. Like just absolutely crazy. So you got him. You got what?
Is he the guy that does the split?
Yes.
Yes, that's him.
Yes, that is him.
He's strange.
Then we have Yusuf Zalal, who I'm excited to see because I want to see how he rebounds from his last performance because he looked terrible.
Dude. Sean Woodson is a skyscraper at that weight class. He's massive. Look at his reach advantage too.
Yeah, he's got where's he at? 79-inch reach.
And they fight at 145. He's 6'2". He's huge. Very tricky to fight.
Just a quick note, he weighed in at 145 his last time out. So he's had a hard time making the weight. Or 149 for 145.
Oh, yeah, because he's so damn tall.
Then you have Manon Ferro, who her last time out, she looked pretty good. Mason Jones is back against Alan Patrick.
That's a good fight. That is an awesome fight.
I think Mason Jones is going to kill him. I really do.
I probably would lean on that as well. The Mason Jones fight with Mike Davis too, like that. This is the first time I think Mason Jones is fighting after that, and that dude is a tank, dude. The way that he kept coming forward in that fight, Unbelievable.
Agree. Trinaldo, been around forever. I
Veteran.
can't believe he's still fighting. Screw Tanner Bozer. I hope Alir Latifi destroys him, which I don't know if he will. Latifi's so short. Like, since he's moved to heavyweight, he hasn't looked good. I think Latifi, he's dropped. Yeah, he lost to Volkan Oezdemir at light heavyweight, then moved up and lost to Derek Lewis. But he actually didn't look too bad against Derek Lewis. He's just so short for heavyweight, dude.
Yeah, and Tanner Bozer too is a guy who was kind of on the come up for a little bit, and then he just laid an absolute egg against Arlovsky. If he had won that fight, he probably wouldn't be on the prelims right here. But that was a bad performance on his end.
Yeah, I agree. Then we have Markwan Amirkhani, who I love. Watch out, bet Anaconda choke. So I love that. And then Tom Breese out on him, but we'll get to that fight. But the rest of the card is so good. Tom Breese, Antonio Arroyo, Dusko Todorovic, Gregory Rodrigues, Santiago Ponzinibbio, our guy, Miguel Baeza, dude.
That could be fight of the night, man.
Yes. Roman Dolidze versus Laureano Staropoli, who that's a last-second replacement. And then, honestly, I feel like I'm so hyped about all the other fights, and then we get to the last two, and I'm just like, man. Like, I'm just not that pumped about it.
I'm sorry. Like, I know Walt Harris, he obviously had that whole tragedy thing. I just don't get excited about Walt Harris fights. I don't. I just think he's on his way out. I think this is the fight. He is. Tybura is on a mission right now. He's looking good.
He literally is. I don't want to get into it. We'll get into the opening fight, and then we'll get to that one at the end. So, first fight on the card, Tom Breese versus Antonio Arroyo. So Tom Breese last time out against Amari Akhmedov, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to take anything away from Amari Akhmedov, but we saw Akhmedov fight Chris Weidman, correct? And that fight was just like, what the hell is happening? Like, both guys, it was whoever had the gas tank was going to win that fight, and it ended up being Chris Weidman. So he loses by arm triangle to him, where Tom Breese just didn't look like himself. Like, he just looked out of it. He looked like he had no answers. His lone win in his last 4 is over KB Bueller, who is not even in the UFC anymore, and had one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay? Like, the dude just threw kicks at the air, didn't do anything. One of the worst performances I've ever seen. Then we have Antonio Arroyo, who lost to Deron Wynn, who is mini DC. He is literally 5'5", like this. He's super short, but fights at 1, what is it, 85?
Yeah, it's crazy.
85. And Andre Munhoz. This is Deron Wynn. He is 5'6", fights at 185. That is absurd. All right, so he's fighting him, and then we have Andre Munhoz, who just submitted and broke Jacare's arm. So Antonio Arroyo has lost to those two. Prior to that, he had won a bunch in a row. So this is a tough one to pick because both guys not looking great. I just can't back Tom Breese, man. After what I saw last time out, he just looked so like a shell of himself. Didn't look great. I look at a lot of, Arroyo has a submission game. I think Breese did get subbed his last time out, correct? Yeah, arm triangle choke. Yep. So I'm going to go Arroyo here, and I'm going to go sub. For me personally, Tom Breese, I think that if he loses this fight, he's out. And Tom Breese is a guy a lot of people were super high on for a while, and he just hasn't looked the same. I'm going to go with Antonio Arroyo on this one by submission.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't know, because Antonio Arroyo, when you look at the Deron Wynn fight, like, it's funny because Deron Wynn was like 5'6", Arroyo 6'3". There was such a massive, size difference in that, and Deron Wynn just took him down 12 times, and that was the name of the entire fight. And I was reading something where Antonio Arroyo was literally saying before the fight, he's like, all Deron Wynn can do is get takedowns. Like, he knew exactly what was going to happen. He got taken down 12 times. Yeah. That's bad. And then the Andre Munhoz, we just saw him snap Jacare's arm. So we know Munhoz is probably on to bigger and better things. Not a bad loss there, but that's 0-2 in the UFC. where does he really stand? Does he belong here? He was a Dana White Contender Series guy. He won it twice, actually, 2018 and 2019. Didn't get the first contract. But like you said, Tom Breese, like he's very up and down. We don't really know who we're going to get here. So I don't know. I just haven't seen it from Arroyo either. And I think Breese, with the potential that he has, 6 submissions on record for him, 4 or 5 UFC wins, finished in the first round. Only been to a decision twice in his career. Like at one point, he was 3-0 in the UFC. So I think he's just faced a little bit of better competition. I'm going to go with Breese in this one. I hope he doesn't disappoint me. I'll go decision.
What is the score, anyways, in our picks? I don't even know what the
close.
score is.
It's real close. I started making a comeback.
Okay.
Carey was winning for a while. You're winning now. I don't have the official score right now, but you're winning. Carey's below you by a little bit, and now I'm chasing Carey by only a little bit.
All right.
I don't know who that's more depressing for, you or Steve, that I'm in between.
I'm coming back, man. I'm telling you.
It's okay.
Arroyo, younger cousin of Bronson Arroyo. I never liked him. He had those stupid cornrows. Sorry, Steve. He was a Boston guy for a while.
He was.
But
I think he won a championship.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to go against him. I think Tom is going to breeze right through him. I'm taking Breese with a submission.
All right. Steve, next one.
Next one up. Dusko Todorovic taking on Gregory Rodrigues. Gregory Rodrigues stepping in on short notice. Dusko was supposed to fight Maki Pitolo. So in steps Gregory Rodrigues. Gregory Rodrigues, so he actually lost his Dana White Contender Series fight in September 2020. But he actually went on a 2-fight winning streak in the LFA. One of those was for the belt, and that was actually only 10 days ago. So he's pretty fresh. LFA versus UFC, you don't really know what to do with that necessarily, plus short notice. I don't know who that hurts more, but the fact that Rodrigues just fought, that's got to be good news for him as long as he's not too banged up. So that's interesting. But I do like Dusko Todorovic. He is 10-1, 1-1 in the UFC. He just lost recently. He fought Punahel Soriano, who absolutely starched him. I think I took Dusko in that fight too to win. But Dusko is a really good striker. He throws a lot of output, 7.45 significant strikes landed per minute. He also does get hit a lot. He does have a win over Michel Pereira back in the day, 2018. He's got a win over Daquan Townsend in the UFC, which is not like a great win, but it's someone. It's a win in the UFC. You got to count it. So I don't know much about Rodrigues here. I do like Dusko Todorovic. I think he's really good, has a lot of power. He's a good striker. So I'm going to rock with Dusko in this one, and I will go with TKO.
Yeah, Dusko Todorovic is actually one of those guys that I also feel like flying under the radar a little bit. I think he's got a lot of potential. There are things he does get hit a little bit too much. But the power is there. The dude has some serious power, and I do like him a lot. So I'm going to actually go with Todorovic as well, and I'm going to also go with the KO.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like how do you have a last name Rodrigues and a first name Gregory? It just doesn't sound right. So Todorovic ain't gonna bore a bitch. So I'm going Todorovic knockout.
Oh, that's 3 across the board.
Anyone that knows, if it's 3 across the board, pick the opposite. Not all the time, but most of the time. And the next one, this fight is just, this is going to be so good. So first off, Miguel Baeza, nickname Caramel Thunder, hilarious. Great nickname. Also is a complete savage.
Yeah,
this guy is. So I think I've seen every single fight in the UFC with Miguel Baeza, and he is so good, dude. So young yet still developing, but so good. And then we have Ponzinibbio, who I've always liked, but coming off a really tough loss in the knockout loss to Li Jingliang,
the Leech,
and He's also an announcer, Santiago Ponzinibbio, and anyone that knows that anyone that's an announcer for the UFC, they haven't been winning. Like Dominic Cruz has been the only one that's won. Everyone else has lost. And it's not like Dominic Cruz put on like a world-class performance against Casey Kenny. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't great. So, listen, I like Santiago Ponzinibbio, but he's 34. He had a really long layoff, and he didn't look great coming off that layoff. He had like some serious injuries. Comes back first fight against Li Jingliang, who is good. Like Li Jingliang is a savage. Like he's really, really good. But a lot of people super high on Santiago Ponzinibbio, and he comes back from that injury and just didn't look great. He didn't look great, and so that could go one of two ways. Like he could come back this time after clearing the ring rust and look great. Or he could come back and the chin is still not there. And I think that it's a great fight for Miguel Baeza to take because it's a great name to have on his resume if he wins. He's also a big dude. Like he's 6'2", where Ponzinibbio is 6 foot, 74.5 reach for Baeza. I like him a lot in this fight. And I like that he's only minus 125 for me. Like,
yes,
it's really hard to say a lock because Ponzinibbio is an OG. So it's really hard to say lock, especially when a guy is 10-0 fighting someone who has 31 fights. So that is tough. Typically, we would say, listen, I'm going to say this: if you want value, bet Ponzinibbio plus 100. You know, it's not like he can't win. But for me personally, I am invested in Miguel Baeza. I really like him a lot. And I think that he's going to – I didn't like the knockout by Li Jingliang was nasty when guys get knocked out like that. And it's kind of a quick turnaround. Not always great. I'm going Miguel Baeza, and I'm actually going to go KO again. And I think that if that happens, I don't know. He won't get cut, but there's a chance Ponzinibbio possibly retires.
Yeah, I could definitely see that because that's kind of the narrative right here. So with Ponzinibbio – he was on an insane winning streak. So he was 7 in a row. That includes a knockout over Neil Magny. He beat Mike Perry, Gunnar Nelson, Court McGee, Sean Strickland, like great names on his resume there. And then all of a sudden, 2018, I forget what it was, but he was dealing with like a really bad injury that was like potentially life-threatening. And that was like almost a 3-year layoff. He comes back against the Leech. I think he looks pretty good for like the first minute, and then obviously the Leech put him out. So it's really hard to. And now you were talking about a guy who's 34 years old. Like those 3 years, like those are some prime years that you really needed to kind of fight with because you hit that age 34, and then it kind of goes downhill a little bit. The Leech was a tough knockout loss for him. You don't know if he has it because it didn't really go that long. Does he still have anything left to give? I don't know. Miguel Baeza is not a guy you really want to find that out against because I'm putting him on stud alert. He's an absolute stud. Every time we watch him fight, he just whatever it is, he has it. Like you can just watch him fight. It's so smooth, very clean. He has crazy knockouts. He also has submissions, arm triangle submissions. He trains at MMA Masters down in Florida with Colby Covington's down there. So the guy can just really do it all. Like you said, he's 6'2". He has the size advantage. 74.5-inch reach. He has the advantage there. Only 28 years old. This guy's hitting his prime. He looks great. I liked sometimes, trying to sound smart and choosing that veteran fighter to be like, well, he's never faced this, amount of competition. He's got 30 plus fights. Like he's going to put him in his place. I don't think so.
There are just some guys that you make an exception for.
Yeah.
And it's Miguel Baeza has star factor written all over him.
He does. So I'm rocking with you. I got Baeza by TKO finish.
But he could sub him, though. That's the thing, though. He does have a good ground game, too. So
he can do it. He can do it. That's why he's so good, too. Like, he can go to the ground. He can stand up and trade. Ponzinibbio doesn't really go to the ground. So if he wants to stand up and trade, I mean, that's dangerous. Good luck.
I don't know if Baeza is going to be able to sheath the Argentinian dagger. I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio to crack a ribio TKO.
Listen, that'd be a great story, and I don't dislike Santiago Ponzinibbio at all. Like he's great for the sport, but for me personally, I really like Baeza a lot. You want to take us to the next fight?
Yes. So we got a 6-fight main card here, so plenty to go around. Roman Dolidze taking on Laureano Staropoli. Dolidze minus 150 favorite, Staropoli plus 125 underdog. Pretty close line here. This is at middleweight. So Dolidze, he went on an 8-fight win streak to start his career. 7 of those by finish, but his last 2 fights have both went to decision. One with John Allen, and then also he did lose to Trevin Giles. That was his first professional loss. Unanimous decision loss there. The dude he's a wrestler. He likes to go to the ground. 1.75 takedown average, 2.2 sub attempt average. Those are both very high. Just in his last 2 fights combined, he got 4 takedowns, 5 sub attempts. So that's probably going to be the path here, because you look at Staropoli, 7-1 to start his pro career. All of those were by finish. He actually went 2-0 to start his UFC career. It wasn't against great competition, but then he just recently lost his last 2 fights against Muslim Salikov and Tim Means. The fight against Salikov, he was taken down 3 times. He got outstruck in that one. Again, with the Tim Means fight, he got taken down 2 times in that fight. So you kind of see where this is going a little bit. Dolidze likes to go to the ground. Staropoli can't really stop people from taking him down. Dolidze, we've seen him fight. He looks really good. So I am going to rock with him. And again, I think there's a lot of value in a lot of these fights. The minus 150 for Dolidze here, I think that's a great bet. The Baeza only minus 120. You can parlay those or just take them straight up. And then even like the Dusko Todorovic minus 165, like all of these are pretty good money.
Yeah, I like that. I like that parlay just right there. Like, I think again, this is something in my gut just says like Dolidze is gonna steamroll through this guy. Like Trevin Giles is a stud. Like, he's really, really good. I like him a lot. And that was a really good back and forth fight where Dolidze was put in compromising position before and got out of it. And he had Giles on the brink a few times. He hits super hard. I think, and he's got a almost 5-inch reach advantage in this fight as well. You know, the thing is with Dolidze too, like if he's on the ground, his ground and pound is really good too. He's just relentless. Like he'll go 3 rounds, no problem. I got Dolidze in this one. I got by KO. Again, I think that he finishes them. I got 3 finishes in a row, and I'm gonna parlay those 3 that you just said, I think. But I might also do another parlay with them in which there's finishes, because I don't know what it is, but there's something about Dolidze, Baeza, and Todorovic that I really like by finish on this card.
Yeah, and I could even say in the next fight we might be looking at one too with decent odds. But I don't know if I made an official pick, but I'm taking Dolidze decision.
Staropoli, he was actually the voice actor, the star of the Roly Poly Oly series on the Children's Network. I wasn't really a fan of that show. I don't know about you guys.
Roly Poly Oly.
I thought it was stupid, too childish for me.
Well, yeah, you were probably like 15 when that show came out.
I was probably like 11. So
Close
yeah, on towards the end of my cartoon watching days. So I'm going to pick Dolidze to earn those beads. He's going to put on a performance and get the decision.
It's a smarty girl?
Yeah.
Dolidze earning beads. All right. And with that, we move on to Walt Harris, Marcin Tybura. Man, like you said, it sucks. Like Walt Harris, okay, goes through one of the most horrific things you could ever go through. All right. You don't ever wish that upon your worst enemy. All right. You never want to see it. But let's throw that out the window for a second and look at Walt Harris as a fighter. And he is, if there is a definition of a one-trick pony, it is Walt Harris. And I hate saying it, but that's what he is. Don't get me wrong. He's got some good wins. He beat guys like Sergey Spivak, who we just saw toss around Jared Vanderaa, who then in return, Jared Vanderaa looked great the other day. Alexei Oleinik, Daniel Spitz, Chase Sherman. He's got some good wins, but what hampers Walt Harris is the fight style in a guy like Marcin Tybura. Walt Harris can beat guys that are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys that can wrestle, but get tired, and aren't stronger than him. Marcin Tybura is going to be stronger. He's going to be able to strike, And if he gets Walt Harris to the ground, Walt Harris isn't getting up. He's not going to be stronger. So that's where, Walt Harris is going to have to rely on a one punch, walk off knockout. That's what he's going to have to do in this fight. And we haven't seen that with Marcin Tybura. We haven't seen that, those losses. He did go on a little bit of a streak where he lost, but lately he's looked great. I mean, Greg Hardy, throw it out the window. He sucks. Ben Rothwell, though, good. Maxine Grisham, good. Also beat Sergey Spivak. He lost to Sakai, who is higher ranked right now. Derek Lewis, Fabricio Verdum, Fabricio Verdum, top of that weight class. But everyone that he, is close to, he's beaten them. For me, I think this is an easy win for Marcin Tybura. And I hate saying that because I really do like Walt Harris. But Marcin Tybura is on a run. He's looked good for a heavyweight. He's got really good cardio, so he can wrestle Walt Harris for 3 rounds. He can wrestle Walt Harris until Walt Harris is dead tired and either sub him or ground and pound. I think it's going to go very similar to the Greg Hardy fight. And I don't like to compare Walt Harris to Greg Hardy, but they are the same as far as fight styles. They're knockout or that's it type fighters. Like you look at Derek Lewis, he doesn't stop takedowns typically, right? But watch his highlights. He gets up. Somehow he just gets up from getting taken down. Walt Harris doesn't do that. So it's okay to be a one-trick pony, but be able to get up from compromising positions. Once Walt Harris is down, he's not getting back up. He's tough, though. He's a tough guy to finish. It's one of those things where I could see it going either. I think Tybura wins. I just don't know how he's going to get it done because it could go 3 rounds and Tybura could just wear on him the entire time. It could be Walt Harris gets gassed and gets, basically the ref stops it due to punches. Or it could be Walt Harris is gassed and Tybura snatches up a neck or something and gets a sub. Like, I can literally see it ending in any single way. But because I've picked finishes for the first 3 or 4, whatever it was, I'm going to go Marcin Tybura by decision in this one. But again, at this point, I might pick a 5-fight parlay on the main card, and I feel confident in it.
I agree. This is mine. Because like you just said, that can end in a multitude of different ways for Marcin Tybura to get the job done. And to get it for -170, just take it straight up as well. But also a great parlay piece. There is some value in a lot of these fights. But I 100% agree with everything you just said. Walt Harris, nicest guy. You do feel bad for him for everything that happened, but we're talking about the fights. We're making predictions. And the guy, he's 37 years old. He just hasn't really looked all that there in his recent fights. I don't think he has the cardio to go the full 3 rounds. 13-9 pro record. Not that great. 6-8-1 in the UFC. That's now a sub 500 record. Not looking good.
I didn't know his record was that bad in the UFC. Damn.
Yeah, well, he's just lost a lot recently. And honestly, I had this also. He's never won more than 2 fights in a row. So he's been one of those guys where he'll piece it together a little bit. And then if it gets a step up in competition, usually he kind of falls short. So it's just really not a good fight. I feel bad. I feel like he's fighting a lot of really good talent because he's still a top 15 ranked fighter. But I think that's just because of the heavyweight status right now. There's not a whole bunch of depth in that division. So he's just not getting an easy fight here in Marcin Tybura. If it was someone he could stand up and trade with, he has a good chance. But Tybura, he goes to the ground. He does it really well. I see this really going. I could see him going for all the takedowns, drag it out. And then maybe if Harris is so dead tired that they just have to call the fight, or he just drags it out 3 rounds and it goes decision. But I'm taking Tybura, and I think decision's a smart move here, but it really could go many different ways.
I think Tybura is going to come in here and knock out Harris, and unlike his aunt Kamala, Harris will not be enjoying the long weekend. I'm going Tybura knockout.
And sadly, could be the last fight for Walt Harris in the UFC.
I think it will be
6-8, 6-8-1. How many guys, take out the female divisions, how many MMA UFC fighters have a losing record and are still around? And I agree with you. He's fought the gauntlet of heavyweights. I mean, he's fought Volkov, Overeem, Oleinik, or no, he didn't fight. I thought that said Mark Goddard for a second. I was like, what? Fabricio Verdum. I don't really like Chase Sherman, but he's not awful. So I mean, lately he's fought everyone, but I think Tybura is just a much better UFC fighter, MMA fighter rather in general.
Yeah, and props to Tybura, man. Like 4-fight win streak right now. Like he's looking really good. He's 35 years old, but he's looking really good. And if you can wrestle in the heavyweight division, you are a problem.
Yep, I agree. If he wins this fight, I want to see Tybura Aspinall. I want to see Tybura Aspinall next.
Wow, that could be a good fight. I would definitely take Aspinall, but I mean, you never know. Tybura is looking great.
I think it'd be a perfect fight because Harris is ranked 13. No, what's he ranked? Let me look here. Is he? All right, he's ranked 10.
Wait, who?
That's worldwide ranking.
Oh no, Walt Harris is 8 in the UFC.
Where the hell do you see this? I'm looking
UFC
on
rankings.
Tapology. Okay, so UFC Tapology doesn't have it. People are going to slander us for that because they hate when we don't know what we're talking about. But anyway, I think it'd be a great fight for Aspinall to kind of enter that top conversation. But we move on to the main event, and we have Augusto Sakai, who recently his last fight was against Alistair Overeem, who is now no longer with the UFC, and he got dismantled by Overeem. Prior to that, he had beaten Blagoy Ivanov, Marcin Tybura, Andrei Arlovsky, Chase Sherman, Marcos Conrado, and Thiago Cardoso. And then he lost to Czech Congo, he lost to Czech Congo, which is kind of interesting. Then you have Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who his last time out put on an absolute snooze fest against Cyril Gane. So he's been up and down. So prior to his loss to Francis Ngannou, he was on a tear, and that included Alan Crowder, Andrei Arlovsky, and Alistair Overeem, and Junior Albini in the UFC. Then loses to Ngannou, then knocks out JDS, then fights Cyril Gane and just didn't do anything. Like, sat with his back against the cage and didn't do shit. But with that said, I don't like Augusto Sakai. He's 15-2-1. Jairzinho Rozenstruik 11-2. Pretty close money here. Basically a pick 'em. Jairzinho's -120. Augusto -105. But this is, to me, so this is how I describe Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik is a guy that will beat. So there's tiers. We talk about this all the time. There's level 1, level 2. Level 1, we obviously got Francis. We got, Stipe. That's level 1. Level 2, Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades. I think Jairzinho is kind of in that. Like, he can beat those guys. All right, he could beat those guys. He can't beat the top of the top. Cyril Gane's probably level 1, if we're being honest. He's probably like right on the tier of level 1. Jairzinho's a guy, like, I'm going to probably take him almost every time he fights somebody that is not Francis. I think Volkov kind of poses a threat to him a little bit, but Francis, Cyril Gane, Stipe, any of those guys are beating Jairzinho. But Jairzinho is beating anyone else. Like, I think he is good. He's got the power, but he's never going to be the guy that beats the top of the line. He's never going to be that guy. He kind of reminds me of a guy like Mark Hunt or someone like that. Like, guy that it's always going to be dangerous, always very, very good, but just he's never top tier talent because he's too one-dimensional. He doesn't have, and his fight IQ is not great. Like, the whole Cyril Gane fight, he fought with his back against the cage and Cyril Gane just picked him apart. He lost to Ngannou. Poor fight IQ. It's just, and I think he would have lost the fight anyway, but it's just the fact that Ngannou's steamrolling forward at him and he just stayed there in the pocket trying to counter. So I think that he beats Sakai and I think he knocks him out. Augusto Sakai has no cardio. I think that Rozenstruik's cardio is decent. There's something about Augusto Sakai I just don't like whatsoever, and I have no idea what it is. People that like him are gonna probably hate me, but his wins are Tybura. Okay, Tybura looks good, but Tybura went on a down stretch for a little bit, and that was in that down stretch. He beat Arlovsky in a split decision. Okay, so that doesn't get me too excited. And Blagoy Ivanov in a split decision, and then lost to Alistair Overeem, in which Rozenstruik already beat. So for me personally, I think Rozenstruik knocks him out, and I think it's going to be an easy win for him. I also think he's going to come out a little bit more determined after fighting such a shitty fight against Cyril Gane his first time out. I am so confident in my picks this week, minus the first fight we chose. The first fight, I just had no idea. That fight is what it is. But outside of that fight, I am so confident in my last 5 picks. There's just something about this card that to me is like, okay, I feel like this is a very easy card to predict.
It really does feel that way. And this is like, if you are Team Rozenstruik and you're getting minus 120 in this fight, you got to hammer that. Like if I think you broke it down in a great way, just saying like the levels game, like Rozenstruik is in that like tier 2 of guys. Sakai hasn't really earned the right to be in that category yet. And this could very well be a very easy win for Rozenstruik. So if you're a Team Rozenstruik and at minus 120, throw the house on it.
Yeah. To me, like what has Augusto? So a loss to Overeem in which Rozenstruik won, and then split decisions with Arlovsky and Ivanov, like that gets you almost even money with Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who has fought better competition. Like his win against Tybura, great, but like I don't know. To me, he hasn't earned that. To me, Augusto Sakai should be at plus money right now.
Yes, and it's dead even right now. The only thing is. And I actually was like pretty high on Alistair Overeem, even, when he was getting cut, like I still think he had some left to give in the tank, and Sakai was winning the fight. He was winning the fight in the first 2, maybe 3 rounds, but then immediately, it was a veteran move for Overeem to kind of just wait it out. Sakai gassed, and then Overeem ended up getting the finish. So it was a very veteran move on Overeem's part to do that. And I'm thinking Sakai obviously should recognize that and change some things up because he was winning that fight. He is a good striker. He was winning that fight for the first few rounds. So now this is another 5-round fight against someone he's not going to take it to the ground. Rozenstruik's not going to take it to the ground. So they're going to stand and trade. And I do think there is a world where Sakai can outstrike Rozenstruik. I don't know if I'm going to bet on that. I don't think I'm necessarily going to take Sakai because of the levels game. I just think there is a world where that happens.
In the heavyweight division, it always can happen. That's what's crazy is, in the heavyweight division, anything can happen. It's just for me, like Rozenstruik's losses, his 2 losses are to, granted that fight against Rozenstruik, or against Overeem, he was losing. I think that fight too. And then
that was the 4 seconds left in that fight. He splits his lip wide open, like it's like hanging out. Like that was a ridiculous knockout.
But he looked much better in 5 rounds than Sakai did.
That is key.
I also think that Rozenstruik will be able to move around the octagon much better than Sakai. So he can move around the octagon for 2 rounds, 3 rounds. When we get the 4th round, and now Rozenstruik can pour it on. Sakai's tired. It's another 5-round fight for Sakai, and we saw what happened after the 3rd round. For me, the 2 losses for Rozenstruik, Gane and Ngannou. That's
right.
2 of the best
game. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think Rozenstruik at the end of the day, I think he's going to get the win here. I do think like from both point of views, like Sakai needs to bounce back and show that he has the cardio to be able to go the 5 rounds, but also Rozenstruik, like that was one of the worst losses I've seen in a long time. Like, he was completely exposed by Cyril Gane. And if he goes in there and puts up another stinker, like,
but
dude,
Cyril
he's
Gane's
done.
style is what
It's exactly.
Augusto Sakai is not going to be bouncing in and out and circling around the cage. Like, he's not. That's not what he's going to do.
Yeah,
that's not his style. Like, I think Alexander Volkov poses a threat to Rozenstruik and Sakai. Like, I think he's better than both of those guys. So
yeah, I
mean, that's what, like, styles make matchups. And for me personally, I think that I almost think Rozenstruik can do it to Sakai what Gane did to Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik's going to be,
I don't know, man. He doesn't move that well either, though.
But he's more athletic than Augusto.
He's more of like I'm going to stalk you down, and then when I have you kind of in that corner, I'm going to unload. And one of my shots, he has some of the most power in the UFC. Like, he puts you out it's usually round 1 or round 2, and he's not throwing a whole ton of volume. He just kind of can land that shot. I mean, he's a kickboxer too. Like, he has like 80 plus pro kickboxing fights, like 64 of them by knockouts. Like, the dude is an absolute animal. I'm trying to make a case for Sakai. It's not much there, like, because he's not Cyril Gane by any means. I don't think he's going to do that, but he is a good striker. Showed glimpses of it in the Overeem fight, but I do see Rozenstruik. He has a reach advantage too. Like, he could easily knock him out, and I'm going to go with that. I'll go Rozenstruik, and I'll go TKO.
Gary.
After his jeez, good lord,
lice. He's got lice.
What happened? I'm cold, man. After his last fight, Rozenstruik, I don't like. You never know what's going to go on. So I think maybe this time Sakai will be the guy. I'm picking Sakai. I'll go decision.
Oh,
that would be
the big boy decision
if we watch that one drag out.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want
5 round Sakai Rozenstruik fight.
No, I want like 2 rounds max.
Vicious knockout, just all the blood.
Yeah, for me, I don't ever want to see. There aren't many heavyweights that I would want to see go 5 rounds. Like, I think Cyril Gane would be exciting. I think that Tom Aspinall would be pretty exciting 5 rounds. Like, those guys that are well rounded, that can wrestle, that can throw up subs. That, like, but there's so many. There's not many of those at the heavyweight division. So.
No, and these are 2 guys, like, we say Rozenstruik kind of has cardio. I mean, he's not like a cardio machine. The fact that he could finish the Overeem fight at the last second in round 5, the fact that he can be a threat at any point throughout a whole 5-round fight does make it exciting, because he can land that shot no matter what. But neither of these guys are like cardio machines. Like, I'm not excited if this goes past round 3.
That's more rounds than I want to see. Round 1 would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm very confident in my picks this week. I think that I'm going to hammer. I think I'm going to do aside from the first fight, I really couldn't care less about that fight. But I'm going to hammer those 5. I'm just going to do money line. And I think I'm going to throw in a finish parlay too, because I'm just confident. I don't know what it is. I'm confident about it.
I think it's kind of funny too that Tom Breese is minus 240, which is a pretty heavy favorite, and yet he's the least lock of that whole probably main card. Because I really do like. I think we picked all the same guys. All of those make a ton of sense to me to win.
Yeah. I mean, the Breese one, I wouldn't pick that fight just because Tom Breese has been a guy that everyone has liked, but I think his last fight, I guess I think Tom Breese, and I could be wrong, he has had like some issues, like, I'm not gonna say mentally, but there was something going on with Tom Breese from what I remember, and it's led him almost like he's had to see a sports psychiatrist. So I think his last performance was just so bad. It was so terrible. So I'm staying clear from that fight. I don't like that fight at all. But all the other ones, I'm really confident in Todorovic, especially because Rodrigues is taking that on short notice. I'm really confident in Baeza, although I do like Ponzinibbio, but I like Baeza. Dolidze I'm confident in. I'm confident in Tybura and Rozenstruik.
I love, honestly, Tybura, Dolidze, both of those parlayed. I might throw some good money on that. That's 2 strong bets in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, Todorovic did lose his last fight to Punahel Soriano, but I really like Punahel Soriano. He was crazy hands.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So I might steer clear from that one too. But Baeza, Dolidze, Tybura, Rozenstruik parlay. And then maybe I do a parlay with Baeza or Rozenstruik KO, Baeza KO. I like it.
That'll pay out.
Yeah, I like it. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Some bad radio here all throughout the show because that's the way we do things. But if you liked what you heard, click the subscribe button. Make sure you tell all your friends about it. We're trying to grow our channel as much as we can. Great channel to go get any information on. As well, go check out Sheath Underwear. Go to sheathunderwear.com. Use promo code Coffee and KOs and get 20% off your entire purchase. Summer is here. I've been saying it's almost here. No, it's officially here. It's hot, and you do not want to chafe. Sheath handles all of that. All you got to do is buy the underwear, and the underwear do the rest. They do all the work. You don't have to do anything. The underwear do the work. Just make sure you buy them, and I guarantee you that your balls will thank you later. So use promo code Coffee and KOs, get 20% off your entire purchase. And don't forget to sheath your dagger. Make sure you check us out all throughout the week. We'll have videos being posted. We have people going live on our channel. Make sure you go to the MMA Stooges on all social media platforms. We appreciate all the support, and we will see you guys all next time.